Alrighty guys, welcome to my um, Protection Paladin guide. I'm going to be talking about some of the basics, and then I'm going to go into the overall rotation and aspect as I'm playing through Mist and Pandaria Dungeon. Now I realize that Warlords is out, but due to my character level and due to inexperience with the Paladin, I really don't want to access content higher than what I'm capable of doing at the moment. So anyway, let's get started. First off, you'll see that I have a bunch of abilities down here, most of which are not essential to tanking. The first action bar right here is your core fundamental abilities, and these abilities are going to be the ones that you will need almost in every situation, obviously because there's the core, but there's a few abilities that I want to go over that probably wouldn't be covered in a tank video. I want to start with those first. Cleanse. Cleanse has the ability to remove diseases and poisons, and it's quite a useful tool in Warlords. This past expansion, it kind of paled in comparison. Let's see. Divine Protection, which is your active mitigation for magic. This ability is going to something like Shield Reflect for a warrior. It's going to prevent the magic damage from obviously hitting you or taking most of the full effect of it. It's actually quite useful when you have spellcasters around, obviously, because they shoot magic. Derp, they're mages. Alright, so my next ability is Word of Glory, which I have macroed to myself, and then as you can see in what's called S9 down here, which is all these abilities, all the S abilities, are while I'm holding the shift key, and all of the C abilities are while I'm holding the control. One's for myself and one's for other people. That way I don't have to spend time targeting myself. I can just push it on the fly and keep going. Okay, so anyway, a little bit distracted there. That bell's awesome. Yeah, we know. Stormwind at 6 o'clock. Yeah. Anyway, so Consecration. I have real quick rundown. I have Glyph of Consecration, which allows me to throw it basically wherever I want, which is a useful tool for picking up adds if you have most of your abilities on cooldown. It's also great for positioning because you can throw it down, you can pull a mob, and then you can run to it and have the mob kind of be guided into it. If a DPS is targeting something they're not supposed to, you can throw it off to the side underneath them or in front of them while the mob's running at them. They're more than likely going to back up, causing the mobs to run through it, aggroing to you, and then they'll come to you instead of going to the DPS. Because of Word of Glory, I'm not particularly. It's been so long since I've played this tune, I really don't know if that is even a glyph anymore. I know my druid, I had to take a couple glyphs out, so I'm guessing that still works. And finally, I have the Glyph of Dazing Shield for the Avenger Shield, which is an amazing pull tool. But stunning somebody for 10 seconds is extremely useful, and I definitely highly recommend getting that glyph. Alright, so here's what's going to happen. Overall, the talents are not the grandest of talents to pick from, so it's pretty much however fits your playstyle is what I've come together. There's a couple things that you want to do before you get started in a dungeon, which these things are you gain them as you progressively level through your character. So you're gonna want Righteous Fury right off the get-go. That's your aggro tool. That's gonna tell everybody to hit you if you do any damage to them. And then your buffs is a combination. Sorry, not a combination, but a choice between Blessing of Kings, which boosts everybody's stats by 5%, or you have Blessing of Might. Blessing of Might is useful for your mastery as a tank, and I suggest using that when tanking. But if you're overpowered for the content, then the extra 5% damage / stats for everybody is going to help just clear mobs faster. Like I said, there's a couple abilities on my bars that aren't really in use, so basically everything with the control is just added effect. The 3 auras that you have, which are also located over here, so it's just another spot to visually see. I have redemption in the event that somebody dies after battle. I can res them. Just like I said, just miscellaneous stuff that you probably will never actually use as tank. Let's see what else. I have Flash Heal here, but healing for anything outside of a healing spec has diminished a lot. So it's not as effective as it used to be. And again, I haven't played this tune in a while, so it's just sitting there on my hotbar. You're gonna want Rebuke. It's an interrupt. You can cast it on any kind of what's called hard cast. They're usually like a warlock will do like a spell bolt or something. You can interrupt that. That's usually something that you want to be sure that you're interrupting and choreograph your interrupts with your melee part of your group interrupts. That way you can bounce back and forth between his or her cooldown and yours. And there's not a whole lot left. I mean, I picked talent-wise. You can see I picked Speed of Light, which is just an instant speed boost, which I popped right here. And then Fist of Justice, which, it's a stun. That's useful if you're up close. Doesn't work on bosses. Sacred Shield. This talent bracket is kind of a combination. Again, sorry. Choice, not combination, between Eternal Flame and Sacred Shield. I picked Sacred Shield due to having a better damage resistance, but Eternal Flame works great if you want to pop it on people to give them health back, or even to keep your health up. The other talents I really don't know anything about because, again, I haven't played this tune in forever. Alright. So, enough blabbering. This is, again, a basic guide just to run you through a dungeon to show you how it works. So, queue up this tank. Gotta love the instant timing. Pretty moon right there. A fun one. Okay. If I remember how to do this. Alright. First off, Righteous Fury. Then you want to pop Blessing of Might, just so that everybody's buff and you have extra mastery. I'm not going to bother with the quests. Outdated content. Alright, so starting off your polls, you're going to want your Shield of Righteousness, or sorry, your Avenger Shield to go off. You just want to kind of like strife, so that way you can pick what direction you want it to go in. And then from there, you're just going to want to throw your Holy Wrath up, which is my 3 button. That's like an AoE aggro. And then you just kind of stand here and take the blunt end of the damage for the most part. Again, throw the shield, pick everybody up. Press 3, which is Holy Wrath, to kind of pick everybody up further. If you want to keep aggro, you just want to continuously spam Hammer of Righteousness, which will give you Power Word, which is for your Shield of Righteousness ability, which boosts your defense. Your active mitigation or damage resistance that's active, so you can immediately pop it whenever you need. So shield, Holy Wrath, and then just spam Hammer of Righteousness. Shield again to silence the casters. Shield of Righteousness to kind of give you a buff. Rinse and repeat. Pretty bare bone rotation. Simple 3 buttons. Can use reboot to interrupt things like that flamethrower. Alright, now I'm gonna sort of space out here and stop talking and just kind of let you watch what I do when I do it, and see if you can kind of mimic what I do.
My endless agony shall be yours as well. No rest for the angry dead. Seek out a vessel and return. Can this be the end at last?
Okay, so there's a couple things I did during that fight that I should have done before the fight. One of them is popping up Sacred Shield, my talent, so that way I can mitigate some of the damage that's being taken over the course of the fight. I should have interrupted a little bit better, and quite possibly should have used the Shield of Righteousness a little bit better. But again, haven't played this 2 in quite some time, so it is what it is. The little thing here that keeps popping up symbolizes that you get a free Shield of Righteousness, and I suggest using it whenever you can. It gives you an increase in DPS, which I know, why does a tank need DPS? Well, a tank needs to be able to do DPS to be able to keep his aggro numbers up on the what's called the aggro table. The aggro table is the numbers above their heads that say how much aggro percentage you have. If that number falls to 0, the target switches. Not likely the case that'll happen with Righteous Fury on, as long as you're at least auto-attacking. But it does happen. There's some guys over there, so pop my free proc. The guy over there, so just taunt him with your Hand of Reckoning. Again, a guy over there, just taunt, pick him up. Grab all the junk stuff on the ground. Pull this mob here. Pop off shield a couple times. It's a proc. Hammer of Righteousness. Judgment whenever you can, just so that you can boost your power word. Shield of Righteousness. Pop up Sacred Shield again, just so I have it up and running. Free procs, might as well use those. And this thing that keeps popping up here, whenever somebody gets under, or at least 20% health, you can use that and it does extra damage. It's essentially the rotation isn't that many buttons. As you can tell, it's only 9 buttons, with the 10th being a cooldown. However, you can throw that into the rotation and just do some extra damage here or there in between. Just to kill the guys faster, take a little bit less damage, that sort of thing.
I will break you!
On bosses, it's great because once they're under 20%, it essentially becomes spammable. Boss is over there doing his thing, so just throw your shield, free proc.
You are like a piece of iron.
Make it interesting. Alright.
To think you've come so far, only to perish here. I'll honor you with
Rebook so that you can stun her fireball. You see how there's a lot of people who are casting right now? Pure Flames, Flame Strike, Purifying Flames. These things can be interrupted because they're not a hard cast. They're the type of spell that's like a soft cast, I guess. They can be mitigated quite well.
My legend begins now!
And anyway, so those are things that you want to interrupt when you can. However, you have a 15-second cooldown, so you do have to wait. But that's why group variation is important in your melee aspect of the group, because they're going to be up close. They're important to bounce the counters back and forth.
Arise, my champion.
Or the interrupts, sorry. What's nice about Judgment is it can be used to pick adds up on a distance, like an ad that's in the distance. You can actually throw your Judgment and pick him up. These guys are going to pull a lot of things, so that's fun. Let's just start picking up all these. It's actually a good time to show you the cooldown. Which will create this Guardian. And I believe he does damage to things. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while. But I know you take less damage when he's active. At any rate. So that's a dungeon. That's what tanking as a paladin roughly looks like. I'm not gonna say it's completely what it should be because I haven't done it in a while. My skills are rusty. But yeah, so that's essentially it. I think there's anything else that I didn't cover that I would use in the rotation, apart from, again, just making sure that you have divine protection up whenever you're getting blasted by spells or people are in the distance throwing things at you, that sort of stuff. I know that from past tanking experience, and as a different style tank now, you can actually, as long as you have the aggro on a spellcaster, you can actually let them kind of throw spells at you all day long. They're not really going to hit you that hard, unless it's a certain spell mechanic. There's really nothing that they're, in instances anyway, in dungeon, or raids, sorry. In raids, it becomes tremendous that you use that whenever you can to prevent the damage from going through, because it hits you like a truck. So yeah, that's essentially the video, and any questions or anything, just kind of link them down in the comments below. We'll catch you guys later.